Shoe Repair Workshop.
Good evening, my name is Eric Norman. I'm a shoemaker, and today I'm going to show you a little bit of shoe repair and maintenance.
Sole separation repair.
Alright, now we're going to look at sole separation. In this case it's just a pair of sandals, but obviously if it was a tennis shoe where the sole was coming unglued, or you have the shoe that's talking to you in the front, it'd be a similar story. I would recommend using something like contact cement rather than shoe glue or those products that probably a lot of us think of first, because contact cement, in my experience, is going to be provide a stronger bond. So what you want to do to start is open up the area and look how far back the damage goes. If you only glue the little remaining flap that's showing, it's likely that it's just going to spread beyond that, and you're going to have to come back and do the same thing. So to get started, you kind of have to pry open and see how far it'll go. You don't have to, use excessive force, but more or less where it's going to want to stop. You can see here how it's just kind of coming further apart. So I would want to extend far enough back so that it's back to secured glue. Then you're going to take some sandpaper, or if you have a nail file and you don't want to get sandpaper, I would recommend getting just a little piece of sandpaper, kind of fold it over, and prepare the surface by just scuffing it up. I think glue preparation is really important for the success of the bond, and so this will make sure that you don't do this thing again and again. And also, if you do find yourself, again, this is a relatively short-term repair. A shoe repair specialist will have glues that are stronger, that'll probably last longer, but if you're on a trip, you can find this sometimes even at the grocery store, but at the big box hardware stores you can find it as well, and so very accessible, not difficult to find, and it's very strong. So you want to, again, open up, scuff as far back as you can, because you're doing two things. One is removing the old glue that's kind of built up and dried and probably hardened, and that's why it's separating, because it's hard and cracking again. And you're also scuffing the new surface that's being revealed underneath so that the glue can get good adhesion. If you have a scraper of some sort, or like even just a utility knife that you don't mind too much, you can also kind of scuff up a little bit more. It'll just give something for the glue to bite into. Both sides. And contact adhesive, the one that we're going to use, is strongest when you apply one layer, you leave it separated, you leave the pieces pulled apart, you let it dry, and you can check for dryness by using your fingernail, because if you touch it with your finger, you're probably going to put oils on it and it can affect the adhesive strength. So if you use your nail, you'll be able to tell if it's dry or not. You want it to be fully dry before you glue it back. And it's called contact cement because once it comes in contact with itself, it's basically gluing itself to itself, and so you need both sides to have good coverage, but not too much. If you put too much glue, you're just going to make a mess for yourself, and it'll be kind of a pain. Too much is not a good thing in this case. So try and be relatively clean with it. If you have a brush, it would also help to remove any of that residue and sanding particles that you scraped off. So in this case, we'll just kind of blow that out. Get a little bit of glue on the brush. Spread that on there. And go, remember, as far back as the damage is. Tuck it in. And you have to do it on both sides. You cannot just do it on the one side. And to hold it open, I would probably recommend maybe just getting a paper clip, bending it out, and you'll see in a second we'll push that in there to kind of keep the two pieces from sticking, from wanting to stick initially. In this case, I'm just going to use kind of a spreader tool, but it'll work the same way that a paper clip would if you don't have one of these. and be as clean as possible. You'll see that it produces a little bit of stringiness, but if you clean it on the edge, it won't be too bad, too dirty. And so now, again, we're going to set this aside so that the glue will set up, and don't stick it back to itself just yet. Just let the glue dry. The same way that I'm holding it open like this, you can just get a kind of like a small piece of paper clip and just prop it open so that it's not touching itself. That was the needle that I was using before, but obviously it'll do the trick, and let that dry. So it's been about 10 minutes since we put the adhesive, the contact cement in this case, and now when I feel the area where we applied the glue with the back of my thumb, we can feel that there's no wet areas, the back of my fingernail I should say. There's no wet areas, which means the glue has cured, and now it's time to make the gluing. So I'm going to open that up and get the kind of kickstand out of the way. And then just work your way, roll it, roll the sole back on, work your way forward. And this is called contact cement again because it requires a fair amount of pressure to help make sure that bonding occurs. But once it happens, it's going to be very strong, and this should last quite a bit. Now that it's stuck together, it should not peel apart. It's a strong bond, and you'll get a little bit more life out of these.
Thank you for watching.